Good morning, everybody. How are you guys doing this morning? It's 10 a.m. Eastern Time, Tuesday, the 12th of March. Good morning. I hope Monday went really well for you. I know Mondays can be tough, but you made it through. You made it to Tuesday. Today, I am actually drinking a peppermint latte. I made it myself. I got foam on there and everything. I don't know if you can see that or not. That might be TMI, but it's really good. It's really tasty. I recommend getting some peppermint syrup at your local grocery store. Thank you so much for tuning in today. This episode is sponsored by the subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, click that notification bell so that you don't miss any future content. If you want to sponsor an episode of Good Morning Everybody, please reach out to me at contactgoodmorningeverybody@gmail.com. We can have a discussion, talk about what that would look like, and I would love to receive sponsorship in the future. We have a lot of stuff to talk about today, but first, starting off with today in history. Today in 1930, Mohandas Gandhi begins the 241-mile civil disobedience march. On March 12, 1930, Indian independence leader Mohandas Gandhi begins a defiant march to the sea in protest of the British monopoly on salt, his boldest act of civil disobedience yet against British rule in India. 1930, Mohandas Gandhi. Crazy, crazy stuff. Now, leading into some news for today, starting, of course, with the most important news, which is, what does the weather look like today? What our commuters need to be informed as to what kind of precipitation they're going to be dealing with today. Today, it actually looks pretty clear. Looks like there's very little precipitation, some precipitation as you go towards Maine and the very, very, very northeast tip of the United States. Of course, the northwest seaboard as well. Looks like we're getting some rain towards Washington and Oregon up there. Beyond that, weather-wise, it looks like there's just spotty. It looks like it could be sleet and snow as well as some rain in the northwest seaboard. Temperatures today are a little bit more mild. We're on the cooler side today for sure. Yesterday we saw some temperatures upwards of 60 degrees on the east coast as well as on the northwest seaboard. But we're looking more like it's looking like 40s, even down to 30s in some areas. So just bundle up a little bit more, maybe like a light hoodie or something today, especially if you're commuting from place to place. Make sure you take care of yourself and you are adequately, protected against the elements today. Moving on, we do have some pieces of news that I'm very, very excited to talk about today. I saw this. This is more just funny. I saw this when I was researching for this episode. Apparently, worms living near Chernobyl have developed a superpower. You know, I'm going to preface it by saying it's a little bit of a punchy headline because really all it is that, you know, some life around the Chernobyl area have produced protection against radiation. Over the generations, they've sort of evolved to be a little bit more radiation resistant. That's all they meant, but I couldn't help but think of this when I read that headline. And if you're anything like me, I think you would have done the same. Having just watched Dune 2, I read that headline and went, excuse me, pardon me, can we not have that? 2024 is going so well, I don't need actual sandworms in my real world. Anyway, nothing to be afraid of, though. It's just radiation resistance. But we are going to talk about some other pieces of news that are a little bit less fun, I think. So with the RNC being taken over by Trump aides as he begins his major campaigning through and using the RNC, there actually was a pretty sweeping set of layoffs that occurred in the RNC. And it's a bit of a mixed bag as to why. The biggest reason for these layoffs, according to CNN Politics, it's twofold. It's partially the former president basically trying to realign the RNC with his more pointed and straightforward ideals of, you know, his claims that the election was stolen and, you know, trying to regain that power as well as trying to push that narrative. But it's also partially just a lack of fundraising, unfortunately. So he's cleaning house, but it's also a very, very dry fundraising season for the RNC, which is partially the reason for these layoffs as well. So it is twofold, a bit of a mixed bag, but we are seeing some major changes and an unfortunate loss of employment for people in and around the RNC in that industry. So it says, according to CNN Politics here, that they are being select people that are being laid off are allowed to essentially reapply within the RNC organization for other positions, but that's not the case across the board. And these are, at the end of the day, layoffs, and that really sucks. So I wish anybody in the RNC, the ability to get a job and continue working, regardless of my political beliefs. I believe that everyone is entitled to employment and entitled to make money in America, and so I really wish them the best. And it's very interesting to see this play out, especially as we approach voting season. Now, on the flip side of that, we are going to talk a little bit about the Biden budget that just came out. Actually, the budget for 2025 actually would include tax cuts for millions and restore a lot of breaks for families. So we're going to see a little bit more of a push from the Biden administration to implement tax breaks for low income to middle income workers as well as families. And we're going to see a little bit of what that looks like. The budget released on Tuesday aims to pay for those tax breaks using essentially raise taxes on corporations and the rich. So one proposal, of course, would actually completely undo an implementation that was put into place by former President Donald Trump. And it's a little bit more of a reversal, a gear shift from tax breaks for businesses and people that are a little bit higher on the tax grade and scale to essentially giving more of those breaks to low income and middle income families, which I tend to be pretty liberal when it comes to finance, and I want to see everybody doing okay. But it is also very factual that those come at the cost of some corporations having increased taxes, as well as some people on higher tax brackets having increased taxes as well. So I'd love to hear what you think about that. I'm pretty open when it comes to people discussing things in the comments. And so if you have an opinion or an idea or there's something that I missed, please feel free to drop that in the comments, as well as all these articles that I'm using for resources and reference are all available in the description. Feel free to read them yourself, come to your own conclusions, and I welcome any dialogue back and forth in the comments. So thank you so much for tuning into that. We are going to move on to something a little bit more interesting. So I wanted to talk about this. There is a show that came out recently. It's Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now, the way that you react to that statement kind of informs where you fall, I think, on the line of whether or not the show is great, whether or not the show is, yeah, I'm okay with it, or whether or not the show is, I hate it, I wish it never existed. As much as you might think that's a pretty harsh reaction and a pretty extreme reaction to just a TV show existing, you'd be surprised. Avatar: The Last Airbender was actually originally, obviously it was originally a manga, and then it became an animated TV show. Came out probably 12 years ago, I think, at this point, probably longer, actually. I'm an old fart, unfortunately. I remember watching it, and it is a favorite show of mine. It's near and dear to my heart. I love the original animated series. It's very important, and it's a very well done and well executed series. Netflix recently released a live action version of that series. Now, of course, with the M. Night Shyamalan movie that came out a few years ago, people were really trepidatious and a little bit scared that it would be a sort of it would be sort of another version of that. It would be equally as bad as the movie that came out, because let's face it, the movie was pretty terrible. The movie was not just, I don't want to say not just poorly made. That's really harsh. Art is art across the board. But the movie was not a good representation of the original show. It was not a good fan tribute. It was very inaccurate in a lot of places. And I agree with a lot of people that say that the movie's pretty terrible. But the live action that came out, I watched the entire thing, and it's pretty good. As a fan of the original anime, I like it. I think that it's different than the animated series. It has its own strengths. It has its weaknesses. It does things differently than animated series in some regard, but it also stays pretty true to sort of the core of who these characters are, at least in my opinion. Now, of course, there are differences. There are always going to be. If this was a carbon copy of the animated series, I think it'd be kind of boring, frankly, because I've already seen the animated series. I want to see something new. I want to see a fresh interpretation of this story. So I personally, I'm coming at this from someone who likes the live action. But we are seeing some pretty harsh criticism of the live action, up to and including some people fabricating drama and even hurling sort of accusations at these actual children that are playing these characters. For instance, we have a TikTok user who just is creating a series of TikToks that are accusing Gordon Cormier, the individual that plays Aang, the main character. They're falsely accusing him of essentially abusing one of the fellow cast members and making them feel uncomfortable. Now, I've done research. There is no evidence to support this whatsoever. There's nothing. It's just this TikTok account just making these. And it's pretty poorly put together. I mean, I'll show you some examples here and you can read them for yourselves. I'm not going to give this TikTok user the benefit of us watching those TikToks and giving them those views. So this is a Reddit post that was put together by someone that agrees with my opinion, which is that this is kind of nonsense. This is nothing. This is a person who is just angry at the live action, actually accusing a 14-year-old of being an abuser. This poor kid, he's a child. So let's just leave him alone. Anyway, all that to say, it is very interesting to see how intensely some people are, coming out of the woodwork to I don't even want to say defend the original animated series. This isn't defending an animated series. This is just abusing a child. Like it's laughable. It's disgusting, And so it's very interesting to see that sort of that paradigm in the audience and in the reception of the show, where there are some people that are pretty evenly measured, and I think it's accurate to say it's not the animated series. It is different than the animated series, but it can still be good. It can still be a good piece of media. And I think it is a good piece of media. I mean, there were moments where I actually got a little bit teary-eyed, especially with the way that they dealt with the relationship between Zuko and General Iroh. I will say that there are parts that I didn't like. And so, it's okay to not like something. It's okay to be like, I prefer the original animated version. It's okay to prefer the live action version. Different strokes for different folks. People are different. They're going to like different things, but this is a little bit too much. This is treading into territory of not just slander, but also just like, you have to keep in mind, these are kids. These are children playing these characters. Gordon Cormier is 14 years old. So let's just leave it at that. This is disgusting and not good. And I just wanted to bring a little bit of attention to it because not many people are talking about it. There's like one or two people on TikTok that are like reposting and sort of duetting this TikTok account, being like, I don't know what's going on, but none of this is true. This is kind of foul, actually. So good on those people that are standing against that type of behavior. But beyond that, not much is being discussed about it. So I just wanted to bring a little bit of attention to that. You can, this will be linked in the description as well. Feel free to read all of this. I would just advise against giving this TikTok user views, because at the end of the day, it is just view farming. They're trying to be sensational to get more clout, to get more views. And unfortunately, it's working. A couple of these TikToks have millions of views. It sucks, but don't give them the benefit of their views. Just take a look at this Reddit post that's going to be linked in the description below. Read it for yourself. It's pretty foul. That's all this account does, apparently, is just churn misinformation and just inaccuracies and just straight up lie. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. Having said that, go check out the live action adaptation for yourself. It's totally fine if you don't like it. I don't care. It's just, this is a step into some foul territory that I'm not really a fan of. Having said that, let's move on to some more fun news, some more fun things. We have two artist highlights that I'm actually very excited about today. Today's art. So normally, this is the section where I would normally say that that I would show a piece of art and I would talk about an art piece, but I saw something last night that I just love. It tickled my heartstrings. It made me cackle with glee and joy. And so I'm actually going to show you a video from an Instagram user that just really made my heart warm, and I hope it does the same for you. I'm going to throw the headphones on. This might be a little bit loud, by the way, just as a heads up, so if you need to adjust your volume, please do. I don't know how to adjust real volume, unfortunately. Okay, so here we go. There you go. I had to play that. It's phenomenal. It's so good. I saw that last night and I was like, this man is shredding. He's killing the riff, literally murdering it. Anyway, I apologize for that being as loud as it was. It was actually playing through my speakers too, which is why I had to bend down and turn it off. But insanity. So go follow this man. He's going to be linked down in the description below. This is Old Gray Guitarist, at Old Gray Guitarist on Instagram. And he posted that reel and I was just dumbfounded. Insanity. You can just tell it's years of practice and years of talent and years of passion. So I think that qualifies for an artist highlight if I've ever seen that. So please go check that man out. Give him some love. He absolutely deserves it. On to the small creator of the day. Someone that I found actually recently, and it's pretty cool. I watched a little bit of their content, and it's really, it's interesting because I'm on a Disney kick. I don't know if you can tell or not, because yesterday's video was theme park and Disney related as well. But if you're just as interested in theme park videos as well as like food reviews and blogging and all of that as I am, you're really going to enjoy this channel. This is Crystal Maya. They recently posted a video about Disney in a day and a trip that they took and all of the things that they ate and the places they visited. And it's just very interesting to watch. It's edited very nostalgically. It's very heartwarming. So let's go ahead and watch a little bit of this.
Trouble, you best beware. And though deep down, I know I might be headed for teardrops. Now that you got me started, I just can't go anymore.
And then they get into the actual video, but man, that intro really grabbed me. It's a very, very well edited, well done intro. It's very nostalgic. It's a very warm, sort of welcoming feeling. So please go check out Crystal Maya. Severely, severely underrated. Go give her some love. She's going to be linked down in the description below. Small creator of the day. Congratulations, Crystal Maya. We hope to see more from you. We are going to move on to the quote of the day today, which is, "Fortune favors the prepared mind," by Louis Pasteur. I think that's accurate. I think that's fair. Obviously there's an element of, you go into every day. I make a list of things that I want to do on the daily. And that certainly helps me, especially because my mind is so scattered. But, maybe take that one to heart. Maybe try making a list if you find yourself sort of unmotivated or unable to complete what you want to complete in the day. Try making a list, and you can itemize it in a way that makes sense to you. I itemize mine based off of things that are like the bare minimum that I want to get done. Like if I get done these 3 things, then I'll feel successful today. And then maybe some bonus round stuff. Like if I complete these things, let's move on to bonus round. And if I get this done, I'll give myself like a bath or something. Or if I do this other thing, I'll give myself a glass of wine. Just whatever the vibe is. People work differently. Having said that, I do want to move on to today's daily affirmation. I wrote something a little bit different today. And I think it's going to speak to sort of what we just talked about fortune favoring the prepared mind, because it's the flip side of that. I oftentimes struggle with feeling like the things I get done in a day aren't valuable or they're not as worth it. I sort of will rate my day based off of like the amount of like really crazy stuff that I got done or like the amount of things that I got done. But I think it's really important to remember that days are going to be different. Each day is going to come with its own challenges. Each day is going to come with its own fires. You're going to start off with a list, and that list might look completely different by the end of it. You might start off with a list and get everything done. Each day is going to be a little bit different. So I wanted to read this because it's not just for you, it's for me too. This is something that I struggle with, and I think it's going to speak to some people that especially are very like task oriented. So every task in a day has merit. Don't be hard on yourself if you feel like the day wasn't worth it because you didn't get anything major done. Everything from watering your plant babies to making sure you drink plenty of water is equally important. We can't live without the small things. So give the small things the gravity they deserve. Celebrate them. Celebrate yourself when you accomplish them. And be just as proud of yourself as others are as proud of you. I'm proud of you today. So be proud of yourself. Take solace and take heart because the little things do matter. Moving on, we are going to a couple announcements. This is going to end the episode. I want to talk a little bit about Patreon because as you can see, it's up and running. We have a Patreon now. So thank you so much for all of you guys that hung tight in the last few episodes where I would say, Patreon's coming, just hang tight. This weird empty coffee section there was nothing going on there, but we have a list of producers now. If you want to see your name under the producer's title right here, become a patron, become a member. You can join the channel. The Patreon is going to be linked down below. $5 monthly subscription will get you access to all of those tiers that are listed on the Patreon, some exclusive content behind the scenes, all of that. It also is a great way to support the show. So I just want to say a big thanks to our sponsors, executive producers, and our patrons. If you have art or if you have a channel that you want to see featured here, please be sure to send that information over to goodmorningsubmissions@gmail.com. That'll be linked below in the description. Again, that's goodmorningsubmissions@gmail.com. And that'll give you a chance to be featured. You know, I want to spread the love. I want to make sure people are able to have their channel and their content and their art seen by as many people as possible. So feel free to reach out if you want to see your content featured. If you want to sponsor an episode of Good Morning Everybody, please reach out to contactgoodmorningeverybody@gmail.com. With that being said, that is everything today. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Be kind to yourself, drink plenty of water, and I hope you have a great one. Take care. Peace out.